What happens when a harmless daytime question turns into a live-on-air ambush that nobody on The View was prepared for? When Mila Kunis, cool, graceful, perfectly collected, suddenly drops a smile, locks eyes with Joy Behar, and unleashes a comeback so brutally precise it stops the entire table cold in a single breath. Who do you think would break first in a moment like that? Please watch until the end. It'll be worth every second of your time. Mila walks onto the View stage, smiles and waves easily. Whoopi did the usual welcome. Sunny jumped in with a thoughtful question about identity and boundaries, and Mila answered smoothly. Her voice was calm, her hands steady, her smile warm. And then Joy cleared her throat lightly, like she was about to say something casual, harmless, just another talk show pivot. So, Joy said, tilting her head, people say you know how to look innocent on cue. She let that hang there for half a second. Do you? The air dropped a degree. Mila's smile froze. Her eyes flicked to Joy's, reading her, measuring her. Innocent isn't a tactic, Joy, Mila said, her voice soft but clean, no fluff. It's just me not performing for people who misunderstand me. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't snap, but the line landed like a quiet slap. Joy didn't move on. Instead, she leaned in a little, elbow on the table, chin tilted just a bit to the side. Or, Joy replied with a tiny shrug, is that just a convenient escape route? Mila's smile faded. The corners of her mouth lowered just a touch. Her shoulders didn't tighten, but her eyes did. She didn't laugh it off. Her gaze locked onto Joy, steady, unblinking. Convenient for who? She asked. You, or the people who'd rather see me as a character than a person? Joy opened her mouth, but Mila kept going, not loudly, just firmly. Because it's very easy to call someone innocent like it's an act, Mila continued. It's a lot harder to accept that maybe they just don't want to play into your narrative. Joy's brow lifted, that familiar, oh really expression creeping in. It's just a question, honey. Mila shook her head slightly. No, it's not just a question. It's a question with a hint baked into it. You didn't ask, do you feel misunderstood? You asked if I know how to look innocent on cue. That's not curiosity. That's a suggestion. There was nothing dramatic in the way she said it. No shouting, no theatrics. Joy gave a quick breath, half laugh, half scoff. Well, you're the actress. You tell me. Mila tilted her head now, mirroring Joy without meaning to. Her tone still low, still controlled. I act in movies, she said. Not in interviews. There's a difference. Joy leaned back an inch, but her eyes narrowed. Mila crossed one leg over the other, slower than before. Deliberate. She rested her hands together, fingers laced, like she was grounding herself. Not from nerves, but from irritation she didn't want to let spill out the wrong way. You know what's funny? Mila said, eye contact never breaking. People say I look innocent because I'm calm, because I choose my words, because I don't explode on camera. Somehow that gets twisted into manipulation. Joy gave a small shrug. People notice patterns. Sure, Mila replied. They just usually notice the wrong ones. She could have softened it. She didn't. Instead, she let the moment stretch just a heartbeat longer than comfortable, forcing the tension to sit there between them. So, Joy said again, voice a touch flatter now, you're saying there's no performance at all? Not even a little? Mila gave a half smile, but this one wasn't cute. It was knowing. Oh, there's performance, she said, but not the way you're implying. Joy's eyes narrowed just a hair. What does that mean? It means I show up prepared, professional, respectful, Mila said. That's my job. But I don't sit at home planning how to look innocent so people on the internet or people at this table can approve of me. I don't owe anyone that kind of performance. Her voice stayed gentle, but the words were sharp. And if that makes me an easy target for people who want to poke at me, that's their story, not mine. Mila didn't look away after that. She didn't break the gaze, didn't give Joy the out of a nervous laugh or a light joke. She just sat there, composed, present, refusing to shrink. Joy didn't wait long before circling back for another strike. She gave a polite smile to Sunny, nodded at Whoopi, then turned straight to Mila, like she'd been saving this next line for the perfect moment. So, Joy said casually, Do you ever hide behind charm when things get messy? A straight jab disguised as a question. Mila didn't flinch, but the shift in her face was instant. The warmth drained, replaced by something colder, cleaner, sharper. That's a loaded question, Joy, Mila said, her voice low and controlled. Why don't you drop the smoke and just say what you mean? Joy blinked, pretending to look confused. What's smoke? I'm just… No, Mila cut in, her tone firm but not raised. You're wrapping an accusation in a smile. It's still an accusation. Joy leaned back slightly, crossing her arms, trying to keep her expression neutral. I'm not accusing you of anything, sweetheart. Mila didn't even blink at the sweetheart. If anything, it made her calmer, dangerously calm. Implicit accusations count too, she said. If you're going to question my character, at least have the courage to attach your name to the accusation. Joy scoffed, sitting up straighter, elbow now planted on the table like she was ready for a verbal brawl. Don't teach me courage, Joy shot back. I've been doing this longer than you've been famous. Mila leaned in slightly, not aggressive, just intentional, like she was choosing her distance carefully. Longevity doesn't equal honesty, she said softly. It just means you've had more time to get comfortable with the way you do things. Joy opened her mouth again, clearly not expecting Mila to match her blow for blow. But Mila stayed perfectly steady, eyes locked on Joy, her posture relaxed but unyielding. Joy straightened the stack of note cards in front of her, tapped one lightly against the table, and then went straight for the next blow. People think you dodge accountability, Joy said, her tone sharp but strangely casual, like she was commenting on the weather. Mila didn't hesitate for even half a second. People also think Earth is flat, she replied, voice cool as glass. Should we address that too? Joy's brows lifted. She hadn't expected that kind of clean hit. Sunny shifted in her seat, and Whoopi pressed her lips together like she was already bracing for where this was going. Joy tried to double down. I'm just telling you what viewers say. Mila shook her head slowly, a half laugh escaping. Don't say viewers, she said. Say you, Joy. Joy froze. You want to ask something? Mila continued, leaning just a little closer. Then ask it, directly, without hiding behind people online, the audience. If you have a question for me, own it. Joy opened her mouth, then shut it again. Mila pushed it, firmly, decisively. Vagueness is convenient for you, she said. Not for me. Joy shifted in her chair, trying to recover her footing, but the dynamic had already changed. Mila wasn't reacting. She was steering. She was calling out every trick, every dodge, every passive-aggressive setup. Mila spoke again, her tone softer now but no less firm. If you're going to examine me, she said, examine facts, not feelings. Joy's jaw tightened. She tried to hold on to the upper hand, but her voice didn't have the same bite as before. You're taking everything too personally, Joy shot back. Mila didn't blink. She didn't even move. No, she replied, calm as ever. I'm taking everything accurately. That line landed heavier than anything she'd said so far. Joy crossed her arms. Mila didn't. Mila kept her posture open, steady, almost unshakably centered. Then Mila lowered her voice, not to be dramatic, but to be precise. You know what really bothers you? She said. It's not the word innocent. It's that I refuse to play the character you wrote for me. Joy's eyes flicked to her, sharp but startled, because Mila wasn't yelling, wasn't attacking, wasn't insulting. She was naming the dynamic out loud, exposing it. You want me in a box? Mila continued quietly, where I react the way you expect, where I let you frame the conversation and then scramble to defend myself. But that's not who I am, and that's why this bothers you. Joy didn't answer. Not immediately. Mila took a breath. Not shaky, not dramatic. She spoke. Her tone was softer, but it carried more weight than anything she'd said before. People don't know my private grief, she said quietly. You don't either. Joy's expression twitched, just enough to show she heard the shift. Mila wasn't throwing punches now. She was opening a door to something real, and that made the whole exchange feel even sharper. Joy pressed her lips together, willing herself not to look thrown off. She straightened the papers in front of her, even though they didn't need straightening. "It's a public situation, Mila," Joy said, aiming for firm but landing somewhere closer to defensive. Mila didn't raise her voice. She didn't lean in. She just answered with the kind of clarity that cuts without trying. "Public doesn't mean painless." Joy blinked. A long blink. She shifted in her seat, shoulders lowering just a bit, not in defeat, but in recognition. And then, almost under her breath but still audible, Joy let out a line she didn't plan to say. "Maybe I pushed the wording." Joy hesitated for only a moment after admitting she'd pushed the wording, but the pause didn't last. Something in her posture shifted, as if she suddenly remembered she was the host, the one who was supposed to steer the conversation, not get steered by it. So she reached for the one thing she knew would jolt the room. She said Ashton's name, then Danny's. She didn't build up to it. She didn't soften it. She just threw it onto the table like a match she assumed Mila would quietly smother. But Mila didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. She looked straight at Joy and said, steady as a razor, "Stop, right there." Joy froze. The tone wasn't loud, just final. "You don't get," Mila continued, "to dissect trauma you didn't live." There was no heat in her voice, no yelling, just a deep, rooted hurt that sat underneath every word. Joy opened her mouth like she was about to justify it, but Mila didn't let her off the hook this time, not even for a second. "You didn't bring that up to understand me," Mila said, voice tightening but controlled. "You brought it up to provoke me. That's not journalism. That's bait." Joy exhaled, a short, frustrated breath, half sigh, half scoff. "It's my job to push," she said. Mila shook her head once, slow, clear. "Push truth," she replied, "not scars." That line hit deeper than anything in the interview so far. Joy leaned back slightly, like she'd been caught stepping somewhere she shouldn't have. She wasn't angry now. She was rattled. Not because Mila yelled, but because she didn't. Mila stayed completely calm, and that calmness wasn't softness. It was conviction. "You don't get to drag out the worst chapter of my life like it's a prop," she said quietly. "Not for drama, not for ratings, not for anything." Joy swallowed. She didn't answer right away. Joy tried to regroup. She shifted her cards, adjusted her glasses, cleared her throat. Little gestures that usually helped her reset the tone of a conversation. But none of them worked. Mila's stare held her exactly where she was, and then Mila asked the question Joy wasn't ready for. "Tell me honestly," Mila said, her voice soft but cutting clean through the air. "Were you trying to understand me, or trying to entertain people at my expense?" Joy froze. There was no snarky comeback for that. No sweetheart, no shrug, no half-joke to escape through. Because Mila wasn't accusing her now. Mila was asking her to look within herself. Joy tried to speak, but the words stuck. Her lips parted, closed, parted again. She looked down, then back up, realizing she'd backed into a corner she created herself. For the first time in the entire interview, Joy looked shaken. She started, then stopped. A long breath. "I may have misjudged the line. It wasn't loud. It wasn't confident. But it was honest. More honest than anything she'd said so far." Mila didn't nod. She didn't soften. She just listened. And when Joy finished speaking, Mila leaned in slightly. Not confrontational, just present in a way that made the moment impossibly intimate and impossibly tense. "Lines matter," Mila said quietly, "especially when people are still bleeding from what's behind them." Joy's eyes fluttered. Just once, a flicker of something like regret. Because she heard it. She understood it. Joy looked down at her hands, then back up at Mila. This time, there was no edge in her voice, no smirk, no defensive shrug, just honesty stripped bare. "I didn't mean to hurt you," Joy said quietly. "Truly." The words weren't dramatic. They weren't polished for TV. They were real. And because of that, they landed harder than any earlier exchange. Mila held her gaze, steady but calm. She didn't gloat. She didn't let Joy off the hook either. She just answered with the kind of truth most people avoid saying out loud. "I know," Mila said, "but harm doesn't care about intention." Joy's face shifted, something between regret and recognition, because she understood exactly what Mila meant. It didn't matter that she hadn't meant it. It mattered that she'd done it. The energy at the table softened, not into comfort, but into clarity. Mila uncrossed her hands, leaned in just slightly, not to confront, but to close the loop. Next time, she said, her voice even, grounded, unshakable, ask the real question. I'll always give you the real answer. Joy nodded once slowly, no victor, no loser. Just two people finally understanding where the other stood. The curtain didn't fall with applause or fanfare. It fell with a truth both of them would carry long after the camera stopped rolling. What do you think really happened at that table? Was Joy out of line? Or did Mila simply refuse to let herself be boxed in? These moments don't just create drama. They reveal who people are when the pressure hits hardest. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want more explosive, emotional, can't look away breakdowns of the wildest talk show confrontations on TV, make sure you hit subscribe, tap the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. Because trust me, we're just getting started.